Monday morning. Welcome to the McCollum on Business Show. I'm Stephen McCollum. A little bit out of sorts here this weekend, this Monday after this 3-day weekend. Look at me. I'm like all disheveled and, geez, don't know how to open the show anymore. But, hey, we had a 3-day weekend here on this program with the Good Friday holiday. Lots of news happened, of course, on Friday with a few reports that came out, and we'll get into those here today, as well as the Market Watch, stocks we're paying attention to, local and national stories that you need to know as well. So let's not delay it at all. Let's get right into the Market Watch. How's this Monday after just a big sell-off on that Thursday? Well, everything's up here this morning. The Dow Jones up as you can see, 136 points right now, 46,559. S&P 500's up to 35 points to 6,600 as of this moment. The Nasdaq's up 99 to 21,979 for it. The Russell 2K, that small cap index, up 22 points to 25,33. Bitcoin, a little bit of a rally here this morning. It did go up about 1% over the total weekend as well. Well, right now it's up 299 points, which is, not a lot. It can dissipate on that pretty quickly here, but it's trading closer to that 70,000 level. 69,283 is what it's at right here at this moment. Then stocks we're paying attention to here on this early Monday morning. First one will be Netflix out there. Well, it's up this morning, 0.97% as of right now. Goldman Sachs came out and upgraded to buy. It wasn't neutral before. Well, the Goldman Sachs did say that it sees Netflix as continuing to be the leader in content acquisition and development and a high chance for multi-year capital return back to shareholders. So they did that upgrade up to buy. And there you go. Netflix up 1.05% here this morning off of that news. And then there's Solano Therapeutics is the next stock that we are going to look at. 32.21% here right now as of this moment. And folks, it was up over 40% earlier. We've had a little bit of a sell-off here in the last 30 minutes since the market opened, if you could call it that, right? Well, what happened was a company called Neurocrine Biosciences. We're going to show you their stock as well here. They announced an agreement to acquire Solano Therapeutics for $53 per share in cash. So the value here, $2.9 billion for Solano Therapeutics is what their value and worth is off of that $53 per share price. Neurocrine said Solano will help expand his medicine portfolio and even strengthen its position as a leader in endocrinology and rare diseases out there. So the one being bought, 32% up at least as of right now. The one doing the buying down, as you see on your screen right now, Neurocrine Biosciences down 2.53% as we're looking at it right now. And folks, I mean, that's 40% up, 32% up on a Monday after being, announcement at least of the purchasing happening is not a bad Monday for you. And then when we come back later and look at stocks here, we're going to look at memory stocks again. Right? It's just been a common theme here with memory stocks. They've been the darling of the market here so far in 2026. But it's been kind of volatile these last month or so with the war in Iraq happening, etc. So we're going to look at the usual ones we look at. SanDisk, Western Digital, Seagate Technology as well. Hey, they're doing big movements. Why we keep paying attention to them. And let's get you caught up. Obviously, we were off on Friday here. Hope you had a good Friday. No pun intended. There on Friday with us being off, but we did get a couple government things happening on Friday, regardless of the holiday. And hiring across the United States, we found out on Friday, well, it rebounded in March. It had fallen sharp there in February. Employers added 178,000 jobs, according to the Department of Labor, who put out the job reports. The March employment report, well, it beat consensus forecasts. They were expecting 60,000 payroll gains last month. The unemployment rate, well, it dipped to 4.3% in March. That's down from 4.4% in February as well. Now, what sectors should we be looking at? The healthcare sector was a major part of the job growth, 76,000 payroll gains in March. Well, that came after nurses, of course, anytime a strike ends and they go back to work. But nurses returned to work about from that strike earlier in the year. You know, the one in Hawaii, for instance. I think New York was another one. Construction and transportation and warehousing industries. Well, they saw gains also in March. They added 26,000. There. Well, at least in terms of, let me separate it there. The construction department there, 26,000, transportation and warehousing, 21,000 jobs on that side as well. Obviously, some laggers there. So it shouldn't be a shocker to you. The federal employment, well, it's a big decline. It declined another 18,000 in March as well. We've seen that ever since the Doge things happened last year. We'll continue to see it every month as well. The latest payroll gains, well, they mark a sharp reversal from February. That was when employers unexpectedly cut jobs. You know, a lot of that's signaled that slow labor market that has just kind of slowed down to a no hire, no fire economy over the last several months as well. Friday's report did revise the reduction to 133,000, far larger than the 92,000 originally reported. February's weak numbers were, a lot due to the strikes in the healthcare industry. They blame a lot of it also on those winter storms in the East Coast, also getting a lot of blame. Job growth, obviously, this year in 2026, been mixed, no doubt about that. Employers adding an average of 68,000 jobs per month from January to March. But it's been a big uphill and a big drop as well throughout that time frame as we get to that 68,000 per month here so far this year. Other things that happened last week after we were off on Thursday and with the 3-day weekend we had here on McCollum on Business, well, there's now been 100% tariff on some pharmaceutical products out there. President Trump did this, through a executive order, which of course is ramping up his effort to boost U.S. drug manufacturing. Now, you might say, "Hey, we heard about this before." Well, remember, a lot of the tariffs were canceled, being under that emergency resolution. So now you have to reinstate them and things to that effect. We're starting to get word on how tariff reimbursements are going to start happening coming up. As those shake out, we'll get you updated here as well. But like I said, it was an executive order he signed, but it targets patented drugs that lack a most favorable nations pricing agreement with the U.S. Under those agreements, the most favorable nation agreements, well, that ensures the U.S. will pay the same amount that other wealthy countries pay for similar medications, meaning you just can't charge U.S. patients a lot more because we're the U.S. Companies face a reduced levy if they agree to bring production to the U.S., but not you don't have to like start production right now. You can enter into pricing deals with the Trump administration as well. If companies commit to bringing their manufacturing to America, the tariff on their products will drop to 20%. It's a big cry from 100%, folks, right? In the event that such companies, well, they also must enter into a most favored nation agreement with the Department of Health and Human Services. If they do that, they can avert tariffs entirely while in the process of building a U.S. based plant. So you can even drop it down from that 20% level if you just commit here. Large companies, well, they'll receive a 120-day phase-in period before the tariff does actually take effect. This fresh round of tariffs, well, it's going to exclude drugs made in some countries that previously entered into trade agreements with the U.S. So those will be, the ones that the trade agreements are still active, right? Switzerland, Japan, South Korea, European Union. Those numbers will stay what they were negotiated in those countries' deals. Pharmaceutical products from those countries will face that 15% tariff based on the term of the trade agreements, between the countries and the United States. So those don't change at all either. So that's came out on Thursday afternoon as well. And then we also found out the U.S. Department of Energy, well, they're tapping into that nation's emergency oil supply over the weekend. Officials announced a plan to loan an additional 10 million barrels of crude oil. This is all from that Strategic Petroleum Reserve. This is all, but this additional 10 million, well, it's all part of that original 172 million barrel drawdown that was announced about, what, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago or so? So this move is in part with the agreement with those 32 other countries the Energy Association, International Energy Association is where we get this from. But 32 other countries will release a total of 400 million barrels of oil from the reserves out there. So, we are getting that 10 million. Now, I did read a lot of the analysis on this over the weekend. They just don't think it's going to affect gas prices at all with the drawdown of the reserve right now, as what they're talking about. We'll have to see. I've seen gas prices, at least out by my place over the weekend while driving around. 4.99, 4.97, 4.98, 4.97, 4.99, and it's penny differences are moving as we're talking right now as well. We've talked here before about the 10% max of interest rates here on credit cards and what that'll do to the economy. Will this pass, etc.? Some people are asking for 15 to 20% interest rate caps, but there's new analysis out there, and it finds that the 10% credit card interest rate cap would shrink access to credit. That is what a lot of the naysayers of this have been saying for a while. Now we know that that'll affect over 100 million American cardholders if this was to be enacted. This is an analysis by Unleash Prosperity Now. It warns that credit card interest rate, well, it caps, those caps would function as price controls on what is currently a highly competitive market. What that means is the credit card companies, yeah, they're going to have significant consequences for consumers and the economy as well. So what they're saying is they're saying what's going to happen with this 10% interest rate. There's got fewer Americans with either lower incomes or lower credit scores. Well, they won't have access to credit cards, and they'll make them worse off, meaning you have to live off cash base, which a lot of times, you just don't have the cash laying around. A large survey of credit market of the credit market published by the American Bankers Association back in January, well, it found that 74 to 85% of open credit card accounts would be closed or have credit lines reduced. That's going to affect between 137 and 159 million cardholders. Unleash Prosperity Now's analysis found that the adverse impact, the adverse impact would be that the worst among cardholders with lower credit ratings is going to be mostly affected. And then if it's universally affecting subprime borrowers and below as well, because financial institutions won't be able to cover lending costs due to that interest rate cap. So, if you get rewards on your credit card, some people don't know how this works. Well, you get those rewards like airline miles or cash back, etc. You get it because people are carrying high interest rates, and they're basically paying for you to get those rewards out there. And that'll go away, obviously, if they can't charge higher interest rates out there. So we're seeing some raw numbers here, if that was to pass, coming up here over the weekend as well. And a couple updates for you. We told you last week Frontier Airlines was raising their check bag fees. Well, they blamed oil then, but we're going to see it with other airlines. For instance, right, we're getting into travel season coming up in the next month or so. United Airlines, they're raising their check bag fees by $10. Yeah, it's going up to $50 for travelers purchasing tickets starting last Friday. Yeah, the increase, which the airline said marks its first bag fee hike in 2 years. It comes after JetBlue, as I told you, announced similar measures in late March. Customers flying within the U.S., Mexico, Canada, and Latin America, well, $10 increase on first and second check bags. The fee for a third bag will jump by an additional $50. They basically are saying, don't bring that third bag, and if you do, plan to pay for it. The airline did not specify whether the price increase was tied to higher jet fuel costs. We know why that's happening. But then United CEO Scott Kirby, though, warned in recent weeks that sustained higher jet fuel costs could strain company revenue. So tickets sold through April 2nd list prepaid bag fees at $35 for the first bag, $45 for the second, and $150 for the third bag. Yeah. So now, those fees will increase to $45, $55, $200 at that point. So if you get your airline ticket and you check one bag, you just have to add $50 to your bag fee, right? And just plan on paying that. Bags paid within 24 hours of travel Well, they currently cost $40 for the first bag, 50 for the second, 150 for the third. Well, starting same time frame, those fees are going to go to $50, $60, and $200 as well for in the 24-hour window. If you don't check it before you or don't pay for it before you get to the airport out there. So you're going to see I'm just telling you guys, you're going to see Delta, American, Southwest get on board with this also here in the coming weeks, if not sooner as well. And it's not just the airlines trying to make up some of these gas pricing. Well, Amazon's going to impose new fees later this month. Yes, all on third-party sellers, all because of oil prices going up is why they are saying it as well. So, if you charge third-party sellers a fee, well, that's going to get pushed onto consumers and people buying the products on Amazon. So Amazon said it will begin charging that 3.5% fuel and logistics related surcharge. That's what they're calling it on sellers who use its fulfillment services. It's starting April 17th in the US and Canada, and it's all based around higher transportation and shipping expenses. The move follows that sharp rise, obviously, in oil prices. We know they're all blaming oil prices now. Amazon did tell Fox Business that the surcharge is designed to offset elevated costs in fuel and logistics. Amazon did say, though, and it did note while talking to Fox Business, that it had actually absorbed these increases until now, but it's aligning with a broader industry shift toward passing through higher expenses to the consumer, basically, out there as of now. So you're starting to see these companies not willing to eat the increased gas prices out there. Also coming the way. And when we come back here, we're going to look at those memory stocks. Another look at the market here on this Monday after the market had a 3-day weekend as well. Then we got some local stories coming your way as well, folks. So come on back. Monday's edition, McCollum on Business, coming right back. And we're back here, McCollum on Business Monday edition. Appreciate you joining us here, of course, live here on Robat TV. As soon as we're done, we'll get these episodes up here on demand at Robat TV, as well as a production YouTube page out there. I saw a bunch of people subscribe to that over the weekend and end of last week, so we appreciate you doing that very much. You can find it on YouTube. TME Media AZ is where you can find that as well. Don't forget, if you are on X, well, follow our TME Media AZ X page as well. Put out everything happening here around the production company, not just the shows that we produce that you know about, shows that we produce that go out on other platforms, and other things we do here with the media company as well. Follow that on X. As soon as we get done here, we go right into the main event, live 8 to 10 a.m. here at Robat TV. On demand after that on Robat TV, on that YouTube page as well, TME Media AZ. Of course, at TME Sports Show on X is where you can follow us there as well. And then you got Pit Stop coming up later this week. Limited racing over the Easter weekend. They were at the Rock this weekend, at least the Truck Series and the O'Reilly Series. There's some all right racing happening out there over the weekend. We'll talk about that coming up. Look ahead to this weekend, where, of course, the Cup Series gets back underway after their weekend off. That'll be coming your way Wednesday this week here at Robat TV on the YouTube page as well. You can follow it on your free podcast systems as well: Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart, etc. Just search the Pit Stop with Steven. It'll pop right up for you there. And follow that on the Pit Stop Talk on X, where you can find us there as well for the social media on that programming. And of course, well, you got the Real Matrix every Friday at 10 o'clock here at Robat TV. New episode up. Well, second episode about the vaccine came out on Friday morning at 10 a.m. Then, of course, on their your favorite podcast system for that, just search the Real Matrix Angry Patriot. Pops right up for you. Or, like I said, follow TME Media AZ on Twitter. We're starting to put out some links there on that programming as well. Now, the Real Matrix, well, not on YouTube for a couple of different reasons, but it is over on Rumble. Rumble.com/user/The Real Matrix is where you can find The Real Matrix, or slash TME Media as well, is where you can find it on Rumble. And starting this week, we're going to start uploading our sports stuff to Rumble as well. For those of you that don't like YouTube and prefer the Rumble side of things, we'll make sure it's available to you over there as well. Share us with your friends, various platforms to watch us. I'll be out there for you here as we get through the week as well. And with all that being said, let's get right into that Market Watch. It's Monday. Well, everything's pretty much little changed here today. Everybody's just waiting on an update on the Iran and U.S. ceasefire. We're coming up to the deadline. I believe the deadline is either tonight or tomorrow morning for that 10-day ceasefire event while negotiations were supposed to be happening. So that's going to just be over the markets here today. Right now, the Dow Jones are up 242 points. S&P 500's up to 44 points. The Nasdaq's up 123. As we talk right now, the Russell 2K is up to 22 points. As we are speaking here early on this Monday, about an hour into the market being open. And then there's Bitcoin. Well, 69,520 for Bitcoins here today. In terms of stocks out there, just to give you a heads up, some of the stocks around Bitcoins, because Bitcoin, going above 69,000 for the first time in a while here. Well, that means Mara, Strategy, Coinbase. Well, they're all up today as well because of cryptos making a big run over the weekend and, up 0.75% right now, but above the 69,000 level. Those are up as well. We told you before, oil stocks, West Texas Intermediate crude futures, well, they're down here today on Monday. Well, everybody's waiting for of course, the ceasefire update here from the U.S. government. So that means all the energy stocks are generally down today. ConocoPhillips, ExxonMobil, Diamondback Energy, Halliburton, all down today. Just about 1% generally on those products as well. And then, of course, let's look at those memory stocks out there. First one we'll look at is SanDisk out there. These have been the darling of the market here in 2026. Everybody's been enjoying these stocks as the best performing group of stocks in 2026. Then, big sell-off that happened over the last week and a half or so. And then, now we're getting some rebound. SanDisk is up 2.91% as of right now as well. Western Digital will be the next one we're going to look at, 4.56% up for Western Digital. And then Seagate Technology, also up today, 7.50% now. They're up off the rally, of course, but then they get this big boost here today from being named a top pick by Morgan Stanley in terms of stocks that you should be investing in now. So with that additional news, Seagate's up 7.64% here today as well. So memory stocks back on the rebound here today. And now let's get into some local stories that you need to know after the weekend. And well, nursing homes have been obviously a big subject around the world we live in. A lot of, let's say, bad things happening in nursing homes. with people, a lot of anonymity out there. Well, state lawmakers are getting really close here and getting looking like they are ready to let nursing home patients, residents, family members of residents, will allow people to set up video cameras inside of rooms so someone can monitor the way that the patients are treated, of course, when no one's around to listen to them. This is all going to be Senate Bill 1041. It's going to override any rules or practices in these facilities that bar such live cameras as long as they're placed only in the resident's own room. So no common areas will be allowed. If they are unable to consent, meaning the patients, that right would then belong to the person who has the legal right to act on that resident's behalf. It was a 16-1 vote by the House Appropriations Committee last week. It came over the objections of lobbyists who do represent the nursing homes. Well, of course, they want people to keep abusing patients there, right? Yeah. It would also fall under the scope of the legislation. This law would as well. Would leave these lobbyists, the nursing homes, assisted living facilities, is what this bill would cover. They say that monitoring could invade the privacy, is what they're arguing. The lobbyists of others who happen to be in the residence room, and that's ridiculous. Because if you're in somebody else's room, you don't get privacy. In that situation. The bipartisan majority did say they were swayed by the belief that a residence room is no different than a private home where people are now free to monitor. So it's passing there. The lobbyists, of course, and the industry doesn't like it. But this is being spurred on by a bunch of people that have had family members in these nursing homes, assisted livings, and quite frankly, they've been abused. They're not taken care of in the manner needed there. And when you complain to them, they just deny it because you have no proof. Cameras should be allowed into these rooms to protect the people who cannot protect themselves from. Let's face it, there's some dastardly people out there. I'm not saying all of them are, but there's some dastardly people out there who don't do what they're supposed to do with those people. And so we're moving closer to that coming up. And now we got a tit for tat happening right now. The federal government now has sued Arizona. They did this on Thursday, and this is all over the Arizona's lawsuit against the prediction market platform Kalshi. If you remember, yes, Arizona filed that lawsuit against Kalshi, a couple weeks ago. So the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, that's the federal one there, says that Arizona and two other states overstepped their boundaries because they cannot regulate. Only the federal government and this specific commission, they argue, can monitor these prediction markets. So now there's court filings against Arizona, Connecticut, and Illinois. The commission says only the federal government can regulate the prediction markets. That would be Kalshi and Polymarket is the other big one out there. If you remember, Chris Mays, our attorney general, filed criminal charges against Kalshi last month. She claimed that the company was going against the state's betting laws. Yeah. So now the federal government's coming back on Arizona based off of that lawsuit as well. So President Trump's pick to head the commission, well, he came out and said last month in March that he would back the prediction sites in any legal battle brought against them by states. And now they're doing it by filing this lawsuit, in Arizona as well, against Arizona, I should say. So all three states, by the way, Connecticut, Illinois, and Arizona, have been sent cease and desist orders as well. So they cannot, keep attacking Kalshi and force them to shut down here as well. So, yeah. So now we got the criminal charges. We've got the federal charges, federal lawsuit. Wow. Where is this going to keep going is kind of the big question that you gotta wonder here as well. All for the prediction markets, which is something I do not pay attention to because I think it's dumb. But there you go, folks. Hey, Kroger, they're the parent company of Fry's, which we have a bunch of them here in the Valley. Well, they have agreed to settle a multi-million dollar class action lawsuit, all in connection with prescription drug purchases. So it was filed in Ohio in 2021. So it's been a legal battle for a while. But this lawsuit accused Kroger of fraud, unjust enrichment, and negligent misrepresentation. So they say in this lawsuit, since December of 2018, Kroger or Fry's here in the Valley, they allegedly improperly reported its prescription drug prices, and they made insurance customers pay higher copays than they should have when they were picking it up. Obviously, Kroger in this settlement denies the accusations, but they are going to pay $17 million to settle the case as well. So Kroger, Fry's, settling that case for $17 million, but claim they did nothing wrong. So, but that is now out of Kroger and Fry's' hair as well. And now, finally, we're going to talk about home prices here in the Valley. And I just saw this little report here, so we'll talk about it here at the end of the show. Residential and real estate agents. Well, spring is a big time, right? You get better weather. You know, we're not cold per se, but we haven't got into our hot months. Well, that usually makes the home buyers come out and get involved here in the spring. Well, this year though, that's obviously been a struggle with interest rates being what they are. Now going up, of course, since the war in Iran, and of course, home prices, which have been coming down, but also high as well, been affecting the market. Well, we know home sales here in the Valley fell 2.8% in February to a year earlier. So we're still down into those historically low levels here as well, based off of the numbers. Well, then, like I said, mortgage rates going through the roof as well. Freddie Mac reported the average rate of that 30-year fixed rate mortgage, 6.4% here today, Monday morning as well. It's on pace with September 2025 levels as of now as well. So there you go, folks. 2.8% in terms of sales being backwards. So home inventory is retreating. Price growth as trails the national averages as well here in Phoenix, and 2.8% in February is where it fell here again this year. So it's continuing to be a housing dilemma market out there, and this economy is not going to get back on track until this housing issue gets under control and people start buying houses and moving, whether buying your first home or moving to another home. This economy is just not going to get rolling again because that affects so many other markets as well out there, and it's just got to get that fixed here. And interest rates lower, of course, as well. And folks, we appreciate you joining us here on this Monday edition of McCollum on Business. We'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday, 7 a.m. Come and join us, would you? The main event's coming up next, live 8 to 10. Of course, catch us on demand later in the day as well. If you can't stick around because your boss is a slave driver, well, we get it. We'll send a note to him. Just let me know where I need to send the note to, folks. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Have a great Monday afternoon.